You're listening to Comic Reflections, episode 32. I'm Nicholas Prom.
And I'm Jeff Barnhart.
All right, so we're continuing our lengthy Action Comics series. We're starting with number 419, The Most Dangerous Man on Earth, written by Cary Bates, art by Kurt Swan and Murphy Anderson.
Yeah, well, one thing, the title's a lie because I was living during this time. So they can't be the most dangerous man on earth. I am.
Oh, all right.
Uh, it's got a goofball plot, but these bubble bombs and a decent fight in it. And you get to see Clark Kent in a zoot suit, and that's fine. But
I thought it was weird. The radiation gave this homeless guy like he found a gun and a pair of shoes that were irradiated, and then he gained powers from them.
right, and then he went on a crime spree.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, the weird thing is Superman was affected by this somehow, and there's these strange bubbles and that were appeared every time he touched the ground.
So he breathed through his nose to keep himself an inch above the ground. It's kind of
I
weird.
love that, and I laughed out loud. Clark, when he's in Clark mode, he's using super breath secretly to elevate himself, like you said, off the ground, just so that his feet won't touch, and then the chaos will not ensue. How did this story resolve itself, Jeff? So weird. I thought, what an oddball plot.
Actually, he was. I forgot the Greek legend of the guy who Antaeus was it Antaeus?
No,
and
I
he
don't
couldn't
think
be. He couldn't leave if he couldn't leave the ground.
it was the guy that Hercules fought.
Right.
I remember that. The guy
So
who had to be flat-footed, and if he
Mhm.
left his feet off the ground, he lost his strength. Right.
So that's how he did it. Now,
That's right. Okay. That's right, and that's how we beat the homeless guy with the
look, the
newfound
homeless guy
super.
lives in the same building as Clark Kent does. What?
And it was so weird, Clark's apartment and all that, taking place here. It's like, why aren't we seeing the Fortress of Solitude? Bah.
Yeah.
But the backup story is the beginning of this feature, The Human Target. And the story is called, The Assassin Express Contract. Len Wein wrote it. Carmine Infantino illustrated it. And this is the first appearance of this character. What's his name? Christopher Chance.
Yeah.
And the whole premise is he's this guy. He's a master of disguise for hire. So when someone's like the mob or somebody has put a hit out on you, you come to this guy and he'll disguise himself as you, and he'll kind of take the blame and
take the fall.
Take the fall to protect you.
Yeah.
And this comic has actually been made into a television series not once but twice. Once in the early 90s and another time like a couple years ago, I think.
Yeah, must have faded without a trace. I never heard of this before. And,
Yeah.
no superpowers, just I don't know.
It's kind of James Bondian.
Mm-hmm.
If that's a new word I'm going to invent.
Bondian. Yeah, I was thinking, who cares? There was
this story though.
The villain though died because he was on top of a train, and Christopher Chance pulled the emergency brake and sent the bad guy to a horrible death.
Yeah.
And I was impressed by that.
Yeah, I like the master disguise thing. That was kind of cool. But yeah, it's not one of my favorite features, but it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So next we have Action Comics number 420, The Made-to-Order Menace, written by Elliot S. Magan, with, again, art by Kurt Swan and Murphy Anderson.
This is the reason why Marvel got more popular.
Please expound upon that.
It's just soulless and kind of dumb, and who cares? And
isn't this the one with the weird alien who speaks in music and he creates a monster?
He's a writer, which is good. I like it when writers are the bad guys. And I don't know, because usually writers are the good guys.
Sure.
And it's not. And they create another Superman, and he's kind of cocky, the other Superman, or something. So,
yeah, this weird duplicate that's made out of sound.
Hmm.
Yeah, but it's interesting because the this alien creates a monster that Superman has to defeat just to get Superman's attention, and we have a scene of Superman rescuing himself.
Hmm.
It's very strange. So
Yeah. Another human target, and this time
yes.
it's a oh.
Len Wein wrote it again, and Dick Giordano took over on art from Carmen Infantino
Hmm.
this time. This is pretty cool. Like a jungle big game hunter is Christopher Chance's client, and he's kind of obnoxious. He's not a cool guy, and
Um, yes. He was attacked by a cat, or I guess it's a panther, and so the cat's anger growl died, and Mindy, so did the cat. I
yeah,
was like, man, that's cool.
yeah. Anyway, this big game hunter had hired Christopher Chance to, protect him from a rival, but really it was all a setup so he could so he could kill off this other guy and make it look like an accident.
Yeah,
So I thought it was a neat plot.
yeah, fairly cynical. The Cape Buffalo death was kind of graphic, or
Oh yeah, there was a wild buffalo that was killed, but I think it was well written. I mean, I like Len Wein.
yeah.
He's an excellent writer. So
Um, I'm not if it. I'm not that interested in comics that don't have superheroes or science fiction elements. I mean, they're okay, but that's one of the reasons I was underwhelmed. But
well, right. I mean, it's not one of my favorite features. I had read that story before and enjoyed it more on a second go through. So we have Action Comics number 422, the TV show that menaced Metropolis. Cary Bates writing again, and Kurt Swan and Murphy Anderson. They're the Superman team right now. So
oh,
it's basically like a bubble boy, a kid
yes,
that has to live in a germ-free
and you don't know
environment.
why until later. And he watches this science fiction show.
That's very similar to The Fugitive.
Yeah, but in the future.
Yeah, but in the
So,
future.
and he thinks it's real, and his parents force him. Well, they tell him it's not real, but he doesn't believe them.
Because he has no context for reality. He's lived in a
Mm-hmm.
house. Television was his window to the world.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of making a little statement on society, man.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. But it's okay. White blood corpuscles are the little kid he gets out, and then if he gets bleeds at all, white corpuscles grow to immense size and start killing things, and
yeah,
that's why he couldn't leave the house.
yeah. So actors on the show, one actor on the television show the kid watches, um, he wants to kill his co-star so that he can, boost his own career, his own star. Well, so he tricks the kid into, playing along to make it, look like an accident or just a
Oh, he
crazy
was going
kid
to,
kill the guy.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Superman has been, kind of following the whole smear and thwarts this and fights white corpuscles and eh.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, okay.
It's kind of crap, actually.
Yeah.
So another backup feature with the human target. This one, Len Wein and Dick Giordano again. This one's The Shadow of Yesterday Contract. And this kind of gets into the origin of Christopher Chance.
Which is kind of a rip off of Batman.
A little. His father was killed by a bookie.
Yeah.
And so he swore revenge, or to, not let it happen.
Not to kill somebody in front of their son.
I think that's just a
bad.
good rule for life,
Mhm.
But yeah, it is kind of a basic rip off of Batman plot. But
Yeah. Okay.
I thought this was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's continued. So
Yeah, I forget
boom.
who the guy he's protecting in that story. But it has the guy he's protecting. It turns out he's hiding from the guy who killed Chance's father. The guy had a unique facial tattoo that kind of gave it away.
Mhm.
But so yeah, that's the basic premise of that. It's all right.
It's a bum, so he doesn't have any money.
Yeah.
So he flips a coin. This is kind of cool. He says, double or flip the coin, double or nothing. And
And
so
if
he
it,
flips a coin, and Christopher Chance wins, but he says he loses, so he does it for free because he's killing this guy who killed his father.
Yeah,
And that was
that's
kind of
pretty
fun.
rad, actually.
I kind of enjoyed that. I kind of enjoyed
Yeah,
it.
this is a kind of a mediocre period for Superman. It's the early
Mm,
'70s, but there's some interesting things going on. It's a weird thing. We're seeing the Mort Weisinger period of the Silver Age, where he really did all these really off the wall stories in
hmm
across like 6 or 7 Superman titles, and they're all wild and bizarre. The Weisinger era is over, and Julie Schwartz has taken over as editor, and Julie Schwartz is great, but there's I don't know, the writing quality, and it's not Julie. I think it's Carrie Bates and Elliot
hmm
Magan. They're experimenting, but it's not too happening right now.
Yeah, they're trying to be hip, but the one foot stuck firmly in the past, and it doesn't. I don't know what they could have done.
I
It was too old fashioned. I like the old fashioned ones, but it was too trying to be too hip. Not
I
doing a good job of either.
I think you're absolutely right there. I think what guys like Carrie Bates and Elliot Magan are doing with these stories are they're trying to do crazy things like the Weisinger era, but definitely root it in the early '70s and the feel of that time, in real life, and it's not working. Partly, I think, because you look at the Silver Age Superman stories, and they're so strange, larger than life. They exist in this world that couldn't exist. It's like a
Mm-hmm.
pocket. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's just kind of strange.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now here's a classic one of that is
Oh yes,
the man who never lived.
I liked this story. Carrie Bates wrote this one,
Interest.
and Kurt Swan, Murphy Anderson on art.
It was interesting. It was one of the better ones. I agree. With a weird kid in the future who kills with his mind, and it sends this creature out to kill his forefather, which is I never heard of that before. If
Yeah,
it happens when you're not supposed to do that,
yeah,
that's a time paradox. But he does it on purpose.
yeah. And
So he doesn't.
it was really weird, and I thought it was wild that he was like trained against his will to be like a mental assassin.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes to Superman gets wind that he's trying to kill this guy and tries to fight him, and they go to Mars because he turns this guy into a monster, and Superman grows a third eye in the middle of his
Mm-hmm.
forehead, and all kinds of weirdness happens. uh
Yeah.
yeah.
No,
Where's
he
it?
becomes no. He gets. I thought it was a third eye too, but it's not. It's a one eye. He
oh
becomes a
that's
Cyclops.
that's right.
Yeah. Okay. I just noticed that now. I'm looking at it.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
But
it's
yeah, it's okay. It, it worked. So I'll do that spoiler out.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then the backup story with the Atom, and I really am glad. Not that Human Target was a bad backup feature, but the having the Atom is just way cooler. Superhero stuff, it's just
Hmm.
better than spy stuff. So, but anyway, the Atom story is the time thief strikes but once. So Elliot Magan wrote this story, art by Dick Dillon, um, and it's Atom facing off with his nemesis Kronos. So, and he's this time traveler who also has time, kind of gimmicks that he uses, and that's his supervillain MO. Although I don't remember the specifics of the plot here, Jeff. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, some trap, and he's trying to. It's it's a mess, but it's fun. The great thing about it, he's a reluctant hero. He really doesn't want to do stuff, and then he wasn't going to do anything. Then Kronos says, "I'm going to do this and blame it on you." So, oh well, I'll go out and kick Kronos's hind end.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, and that's the thing. Ray Palmer, the Atom, he's this college professor, and he
mhm.
invented this shrinking the size change technology. But yeah, he is you're exactly right, a reluctant superhero. He'd rather be in the lab, or he'd rather be hanging out with his fiance Jean.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, he he gets hit. He goes in front of a baseball and gets hit so he can go faster, which is odd. Okay.
Yeah, he hitch a ride on the baseball or something like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
Um,
But yeah, he always kicks the crap out of Kronos, and it's weird. The size changing guy against the time travel villain.
yeah, it's not equal or something that's
Well,
weird.
it's two different branches of super science.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's an interesting kind of thing. Guy, like for instance, he could shrink into like microscopic, worlds, and then he fights a villain that travels across time. That's cool.
Yeah, you think the time traveler would win, though? Isn't it interesting? I just thought of this that this is an Ant-Man. I mean, Marvel and DC are usually has
A counterpart,
characters,
yeah.
yeah, but Superman has no counterpart in the Marvel universe.
It's true.
Someone super powerful.
I think when the Marvel universe was kind of born, they didn't want to have somebody that close to Superman because they had seen what happened when somebody did a Superman copy with Captain Marvel. So I think they shied away from it, and they didn't even do a
Wonder Woman for that matter.
No, or anyone really similar to Batman until like the 70s when Moon Knight came along. So yeah.
Okay.
The big DC archetypes Marvel did stay away from. They tried to do different things. So,
Okay.
but yeah.
Don't mess with suits.
So we have action number 431, The Monster Who Unmasked Superman. Cary Bates wrote it. Kurt Swan, Murphy Anderson illustrated it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, this was a weird one. He goes off in this mystic bus to the past or future or something, and,
Oh yeah.
and meets this secret bad guy, and he happens to be living in his apartment again. This happens
In the same apartment building.
Yeah, what are the odds?
I don't like these 70s stories where they do Clark Kent in, Metropolis apartments. I like the Silver Age craziness where it's like he just flies in from the Fortress of Solitude to go work at the Daily Planet.
Mm-hmm.
It's better.
Yeah, and I thought it was the same character as before because of this big green lizard guy, but apparently it's not. It wasn't the same one, so it confused me for a little bit.
Yeah, he was from this weird race of people from like the end of time or something, and they had subjugated humanity or something, like far, far in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. Program's not working.
Oh, okay.
I can't get on it.
Okay, take it easy.
Have fun with your
Yeah, it's a podcast. So. Yeah, we try to make it.
The excitement of doing this in the library. But anyway.
Okay, we got a Green Arrow. That's
Green Arrow backup story. That's right. So it's the case of the runaway shoebox. And basically, somebody steals Oliver Queen's rent money.
Yeah, it makes them mad.
That's basically the setup for this story.
Yeah, and
he had lost his fortune and now was building back up at this point. But
oh, okay, because I thought it was in another story we're going to get to later. He's a
like a tycoon again.
Yeah.
Yeah, he started out in from the Golden Age and the Silver Age. He was this millionaire. He was a lighter copy of Batman. He had a ward, speedy like Robin, and yeah, but then they had him lose his fortune and get back to the people, and then they decided they wanted to be a millionaire again or a businessman, so he got his money back.
I guess, yeah. It's very Spidey-esque.
It's very like day-to-day problems as dealt with by a superhero. The story is unremarkable but amusing.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Cool.
It's fun.
Let's see.
We've got Action 445. Count 10, Superman, and die. Cary Bates writing. Kurt Swan and Kurt Schaffenberger on art. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of Germans there, eh?
Schaffenberger actually was worked on Captain Marvel in the Golden Age and in the DC revival. So
this it's another non-goodie.
There's a lot of these something's going on, but wait, and they literally say that in the story. What is the? I'm trying to remember the plot of this though.
Oh,
It's kind of crummy.
these the Revenge Squad, Superman
Oh
Revenge
yes,
Squad, have their own planet. I didn't know this.
did they?
Yes, they do.
Oh.
And they try to kill. They shoot some beams down, and it makes Superman cry.
Yeah,
And,
Superman's definitely getting in touch with his feminine side.
It's count 10. If he does 10 super feats,
That's
he
right.
dies. And I don't know why.
But the trick is, there's an actor who his main shtick is he impersonates Superman, like that's what he does, and Superman gives him a pill that will give him temporary superpowers for like 12 hours. So the Revenge Squad were actually monitoring an imposter, and then Superman kicks their butt at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's kind of dumb.
Right.
You know, the Silver Age, you could get away with a cheat like this, but it seems just hackneyed and boring, and you feel cheated with this. It's not clever like the Silver Age.
Yeah.
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 Well,
Yeah.
But the backup story, Green Arrow again, and the Black Canary, Elliot S. Magan and Mike Grell wrote it, and Mike Grell illustrated it. It's called Find Black Canary, Dead or Alive.
Yeah.
And what is it? She was tailing some bad guys or something, and then she gets kidnapped. Green Arrow's got to rescue her.
Yeah. And I think it ends on No One Knows.
Yeah, it's a multi-part story, so...
Mm-hmm.
But, a mystery. Surprise, Black Canary doesn't die, and somebody that Green Arrow thought was an ally turns traitor on them. So...
Yeah.
Man. Oh, here we go. Here comes another stinker. Action number 450, The Laugh Heard Round the World. Cary Bates, Kurt Swan. Man, Cary Bates, boo. He's becoming one of my most hated writers in comics now.
Yeah.
And this is lately,
Yeah, it's Superman's getting a pie in the face, and it's not funny. So I'm disappointed. Oh gosh.
God, it has to do with in the Superman in the 70s as a Johnny Nevada comedian TV show host. It's a bad wink at Carson. He's doing his Vegas shtick, and something turns him into a monster. That's based on something he said in an old routine, and it sucks. You don't even want to know.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't read this comic.
Yeah. And they cure him by laughing at him. I never liked the way they laughed in DC Comics Silver Age. It looks very weird and forced.
Yeah. Remember when Silver Age stories where Superman would sing, and it was just terrible? I don't want Superman to do that.
No.
Because you can't. I want him to be imposing on some level. It just makes him completely ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't mind him goofing off, but yeah, and singing is. I don't know who else any comic book. What comic book star would be a good singer? I don't.
Well, remember Vigilante is a country singer, but
that's
a cool idea. That's probably the coolest thing about him. But I mean, Superman and super ventriloquism and other stupid crap that he would do. Those are things I have fun with the super ventriloquism stories. But when Superman sings to serenade woman from another planet or something, it's just dumb.
I kind of liked it when he wrote the song for the Mermaid.
Oh, for Lori Lamar's.
I was touched. No, it wasn't touched. I was amused heartily.
Yeah.
So, okay.
But in this issue, there has some redeeming quality. We do have another backup story with Green Arrow and Black Canary. Elliot Magan writes it. Mike Grell, who is the great Green Arrow artist, illustrates it. This leads into a multi-part story. There's allusions to David from the Bible. There's a kid named David who's, uses a sling. But I don't remember much else about this story.
Actually, I thought I just read it today, and it's gone past me. It's just sort of... Not a yelling and shooting of arrows.
Yeah. It's
But
probably
anyway.
this is a really low point for Superman comics, I
Mhm.
think. But this next issue is actually pretty fun, pretty cool. Um, Action Comics number 454, Superman's Energy Crisis. Cary Bates writes it, but it's not too bad. Kurt Swan and Tex Blaisdell on art. And Superman faces off against the new Toyman
Yeah, we get a supervillain for the first time.
in a while. Anyway.
Yeah.
The new Toyman reminds me a lot of the Flash villain, the Trickster. He's a skinny guy, and he uses practical jokes and crap. It's kind of gimmick. I like him. I like him better than the original Toyman, who looked like basically a gay Ben Franklin. Long hair and these weird, goofy clothes. But
Okay. I like the Toy Man. It was pretty cool. He had some neat little things, but
he rips off a bank, but it's really the Toyman's in it, but he's not central to the plot of this, really.
and it's a rip off of the fifth. Okay, Superman gets sick and he gets tired, so he has to eat. So they did this before, eating hundreds of hamburgers, and they did it again in this one.
Yeah,
And
I remember the cover for this, and I'm like, okay, yeah, he's not having enough. He doesn't have enough energy to get through things. You're right, and so he's got to eat just to be able to perform super feats. His metabolism is working too quickly. I'm trying to remember what caused. It was something the Toyman did. Was a catalyst for that?
yes, accident. Well, there was some kind of orb in the middle of the Earth, and he has to build a human solar battery suit. And I groaned.
Yeah, because he is a human solar battery. But yeah, he goes to the center of the Earth, destroys this thing that was fouling up his powers, and the end. And he beats the Toyman.
That's enough.
Yeah, it's pretty crappy.
Okay.
But another Atom backup story.
Great little splash panel, or whatever you call these, where the title's on. The title panel?
Yeah, the splash panel.
Cool. Okay.
But yeah, what is that? The campus that swallowed itself. Martin Pascoe wrote it. So yeah.
Ivy University. Someone's building a modern art monstrosity, and they're going to tear down the ivy, and the caretaker doesn't like it, and suddenly the ivy.
Oh, somebody created like a wish fulfilling machine or something like that, and this guy wishes like, oh, I wish it would. What did he say?
Bureaucrats. I should have tear down the buildings instead of the ivy.
And so the ivy starts tearing down the building or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's goofy fun. Yeah. Yeah. It's full of. I don't think popular culture ever did the riots and all that stuff. It's usually kind of overdone, and they don't know how to handle it. So in this one, they had a mini riot in the classroom.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I remember Palmer is a professor at Ivy University. So, but
Which is
yeah.
a great name for a university.
Oh no, it's great. Well, Ivy League. It's totally generic, but it works.
Yeah.
I mean, like think of the Flash Central City. Like it doesn't.
Right.
But man, again, what a crummy period for Superman.
Yeah.
But
I'm not. I mean, it's not like it's hard to read them, or it's like, they're okay. I'm just disappointed. So.
yeah, I mean, it's when reading comics, especially because we do a pile of of a certain title per episode. When it feels a little tedious, like, oh man, I can't wait till we move on to the next thing. It's kind of bums me out. But this issue is pretty cool. There'd been alternating backup features, Green Arrow and the Atom, and in this issue, which is Action number 455, the Green Arrow and the Atom guest star in the Superman story.
And another guest star, Mel Brooks. The character here is obviously Mel Brooks.
Okay. Tell us the plot of this story, this comic.
Okay. This movie producer who
Oh,
was
sorry.
in,
Excuse me. The story is called Junkman, the Recycled Superstar.
he's
Go
gonna
ahead.
make a young Junkenstein, and he was in this show called 2 Million Year Old Man, which is obviously Mel Brooks, and they don't treat him very well. So he makes this robot, and he calls in Clark Kent to take pictures of it. The Atom was actually working on um, the the tiny city of, I forgot the name,
Candor?
Candor,
That's right.
and
He was
and
trying to enlarge them.
and they were looking at Clark Kent and Green Arrow, who was his agent, and so we better turn this off because this energy might cause things to go awry. And then they turn it off, but not quick enough, and then the energy explodes, and
It gives the robot life.
yeah, and he goes on a rampage, and he
Wasn't-
destroys the city of Candor. And
Yeah. Or he's going to destroy
or
them.
tries to.
Yeah. That's right. Oliver Queen was like helping the movie guy like get things going. He's promoting it or something like
Yeah.
that. So it's interesting. I like how they found ways to bring these two other characters in with Superman.
I like that. I
This
like
is-
another character. I mean, different than say the Avengers and these people liking. Oh, that's fine. But when someone has a comic book and another person has a comic book, mixing them together is usually interesting.
I love guest appearances. I think they're always fun, and they always are good to boost sales of a book you're not reading. Like, oh, maybe I'll go check that out. But it's weird because I don't think either the Atom or Green Arrow had their own book at the time.
Yeah, I guess not.
I mean, they're
But,
both in the Justice League,
Yeah.
but that's a book that sells itself, no matter what.
Yeah. Okay. So I was wrong, but still, they're in different stories. So
Yeah.
and I guess they're trying to make them. They put them in the back, see if anybody likes them, and then they turn them into its own comic book.
Well, sure. I think a backup feature in a popular, well-selling title. I think his idea is this is a tryout to see if we can get them a solo book. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They thwart the robot.
The robot's kind of cool. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. You're worried, but Superman gets his butt kicked quite a bit.
Yeah, in the early 70s, they decided we're gonna like kind of depower Superman, like make him less powerful, and they did that thing, Kryptonite No More, where all of the kryptonite on Earth turned to iron, so there was no kryptonite. But then they just started doing stories where somebody like created synthetic kryptonite.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, granted, there was a lot of kryptonite stories in the Silver Age, but they're fun. They don't get old.
I don't think so.
Who was complaining about kryptonite stories?
Yeah. The way they destroyed the robot, they didn't destroy him. They made him teeny tiny, and he went into Candor and became a butler. I was going to say this.
I don't know why they stopped him from like rampaging. That shrinking changed his temperament.
Candor is different. Doesn't have the yellow sun, so he's not as powerful. So he gets his power like Superman.
Interesting. Okay. Okay.
So, don't you know anything?
Apparently not, man. I was just confused by it. So,
No, yeah.
so we're
It's
done with
comic
Superman for today, and I'm relieved.
I am
Man,
too. I hate to say that.
I know, because I love Superman and Superman's fun, but man, these 70s Superman stories are a drag.
Yeah.
Don't read them. We'll read them for you.
Yeah. So you don't have to.
That's right. That should be our tagline.
All right.
We read them comic reflections. We read it so you don't have to, unless you want to. So we'll talk about the Amazing Spider-Man number 139, Day of the Grizzly, written by Jerry Conway, art by Ross Andrew and Frank Giacoia.
1974. Day of the Grizzly, you may not know, it's probably a takeoff on the movie Night of the Grizzly, which is this cool western where this grizzly was attacking this guy's farm. So he called him this hunter who was kind of evil, and it's kind of like a Shane type thing because he was trying to take.
Is this another movie from the 70s?
Yeah.
There's a lot of those man versus nature gone wild movies in the 70s.
Man.
Jaws and all that.
They really hit me. I mean, I think it's before. No, 74 is before Jaws, I believe. It wasn't Jaws 75, 76. So,
75, I think, yeah.
Yeah. But it was fan. I don't know. It really hit me as a kid, and I still remember it. So it was something was right about it. So, or maybe I was wrong
I don't know.
at that time.
Yeah.
Um, a guy in a bear suit attacks Spider-Man,
It sounds ridiculous.
and it is.
He's like the Rhino, only a bear.
But he can, supposedly he can beat up the bear. Let's see. Peter Parker gets a awful apartment. Looks really bad.
Yeah, he doesn't. He decided he didn't want to live with Flash after all that junk with the Mind Worm. This is directly following that issue.
Mm-hmm.
Liz Allen helps him find an apartment, and he goes to the Bugle to get some. Hey, Jonah, can I get some money? And the Grizzly attacks. We don't know why.
You can't have too much J. Jonah Jameson. What
Never.
a great foil.
Oh, J. Jonah Jameson is great, and I love Robbie Robertson at the Bugle. He's always the guy that diffuses Jonah.
Yeah.
Great characters.
He's one of the few guys you want to be pals with. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd want to be pals with Peter Parker. He's a nice guy, man, but
Yeah.
a lot of issues. So,
Yeah, he seems kind of unreliable. I don't think I would hire him.
Right.
But I love the Daily Bugle staff.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't whether it's Betty Brant as secretary or Glory who came later. I love that cast. I think they're comparable to the Daily Planet as a cool, workplace supporting, characters. They're just a fun cast.
I don't know, but is Peter Parker still working for the Daily Planet? Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Daily Bugle?
Daily Bugle, or whatever it is.
Oh yeah, he was always freelancing as a
No,
photographer.
is he still doing it as we speak? At the latest issue, is he still a freelancer?
In current comics?
Yeah.
Or actually, right now, Doc Ock is Spider-Man. Spider-Man.
Oh!
You want me to here? Now let me just tell you.
you.
Doc Ock was dying of cancer, okay? And he was in the vault, the raft, or one of those supervillain prisons. And anyway, I think it's the raft. He's found a way to transfer his consciousness into Spider-Man's body. So Spider-Man is really in an iron lung dying of cancer. And he dies. And Doc Ock, with like the ghost or the soul of Peter Parker still in Spider-Man's body. Anyway, Doc Ock is now Spider-Man. And there's this new title out called The Superior Spider-Man. And so it's this supervillain who's become Spidey. His arch nemesis becomes Spider-Man. So
Wow, that sounds like it could be interesting. It could be really stupid. I don't know.
I read some of the issues leading up to this. I haven't read The Superior Spider-Man. No, I read the first issue. And it's cool.
Okay.
I actually want to pick it up when the trade comes out.
All right.
But yeah, that's what's going on.
Okay, but I just didn't know.
J. Jonah Jameson is the mayor of New York.
No!
And his father, Jonah's father, has married Aunt May.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. So
I'm surprised Aunt May is still alive.
she died and was brought back by like Doctor Strange or something.
Man.
I wish she would just stay dead. She's dead weight as a character.
I mean, a little bit of Aunt May is fine, but they use her way too much. And
She's had like 10 heart attacks or
yeah,
more.
She's she's always feeling poorly and feel bad, and well, this is why I read a comic book so I can feel bad.
Yeah. So back to the day of the Grizzly. The Grizzly has come to the Bugle to assassinate J. Jonah Jameson. We find out later he was sent by the Jackal, who was Professor.
I thought it was a Green Goblin when I saw him first. So.
Oh, the Goblin's dead.
I
at this
know
point.
he's a hobgoblin now, so yeah. But when I saw it, it's not the Green Goblin, it's
The Jackal.
Jackal,
Who was Professor Miles Warren, another college professor, scientist villain, and he's got something against Spider-Man and Peter Parker, and this is where the clone crap comes in just a few issues later, actually, and it sucks. He was that's right. He was obsessed with Gwen Stacy, and when she was murdered by the Green Goblin, he blamed Spider-Man, and so he became obsessed with revenge on Spider-Man. So that's the deal with the Jackal. But he sucks, and yeah.
Man, why is the Grizzly in a bear suit? That's all I understand.
It's weird. You get the impression he's like a wrestler or a boxer or something. So, but anyway, next we have Amazing Spider-Man number 172, The Fiend from Fire. Len Wein wrote it. Ross Andrew illustrating again. And this is the first appearance of the Rocket Racer, who is one of the lamest Spider-Man characters.
I
And he's a
disagree.
reoccurring character too.
Cool. I was going to ask you if he was right because skateboard punks are my arch nemesis. Back at NC State, they would they would tear up everything. And I had two friends who were avid skateboarders, and they built their own skateboard park.
Sure.
But these guys, that would just knock over people, knocked over this old lady, would jump on your table without even warning you while you was eating, an outside table. It was just amazing. And they
That's
had
pretty-
a real big chip on their shoulder.
Wow,
So,
Pretty audacious, brash.
Mhm.
But I don't know. The Rocket Racer is this. He's like a teenage. They're trying so hard to be hip. He's a black guy, and he built himself a cool rocket skateboard.
mhm.
It just seems really lame to me.
Yeah, and I wanted more blood.
Um,
Okay, well, and we have a couple mysteries, like what's going on with Liz Allen and what's going on with J. Jonah Jameson.
Oh, J. Jonah Jameson has a romantic interest. He's divorced, and his son's a famous astronaut and everything. But he's started dating this wonderful lady, Dr. Marla Madsen, I believe. And she's, I don't know. She brings out what little, charm, genuine charm that Jameson has.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I love him as a character. He's a little bit too mean and too obviously going to be. I don't know. It's
At home he's got to be a softie. When nobody's looking, Jonah Jameson is a vulnerable, sensitive guy, but he doesn't want anyone to know.
yeah. That's probably it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
I remember reading a Silver Age comic where, he, when no one was around, admitted, his whole thing against Spider-Man was he was just jealous because he wishes he could do things like that.
Yeah. Well, he got into a robot and his face.
We will talk about that very story
cool.
in an upcoming episode.
I cannot wait.
Yes, you will have to.
No.
But the mystery that's going on with Liz Allen, she's dating Harry Osborn, and she's got ties to a mysterious super character who shows up in like the third act of this issue, and it's surprise the Molten Man comes back.
Mhm.
Molten Man is forcing Liz to help her try to cure himself, and she's having to go around behind Harry's back, and Harry's mental state is very fragile, and so he's kind of freaking out. Harry's schizophrenic like his father, and Harry had become the Green Goblin for a brief period. So the Molten Man's back, and Spidey fights him, and yeah.
They changed his look, and I don't like it. He's got little flames on. Before he was just like
More
I don't know,
shiny.
more
and whatever.
molten lava, and now he's kind of flamey.
Yeah,
And,
he's like a molten metal man. I've seen even later incarnations of the Molten Man. I think by Sal Buscema, and he was just like more gold and shiny. So it's artist interpretation. This is how Ross Andrew interprets the character.
I disapprove.
Okay, you should see how Ditko drew him originally. It's even cooler than how we saw him I think it was last week.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So moving forward again to Amazing Spider-Man number 258, The Sinister Secret of Spider-Man's New Costume. This story takes place that's about 1985 or so. Spider-Man has gone and fought in the Secret Wars on Battleworld with the Avengers and the Fantastic Four and the Hulk against the Earth's supervillains in a contest for the amusement of the Beyonder. And anyway, after they return, on Battleworld, Spider-Man has gotten this alien costume. It's black, it's cool. I like it better than the original Spider-Man costume, which looks like a guy in his pajamas. This is very sleek and streamlined, and I like it.
I'm old school, but
I love the old Spider-Man costume, but I love the look of the black costume.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing how bright this is.
The paper is different. The paper is different in the 80s. Yeah,
it is.
I think that might be on Baxter paper or something. They were in the 80s. They were trying new paper types.
It's I don't know. The color is just brilliant.
Yeah, But
And nice.
but yeah, it opens with Mary Jane revealing to Peter that she's always known he was Spider-Man, or she's known for a long time.
Yeah.
And
Peter should have said your '80s hair is awful. So, it is
yeah,
awful, man. Yeah. Yeah, so this is a big time. I guess it's a really important issue then. In
yeah.
the Spider-Man oeuvre or oeuvre, whatever how you pronounce it.
Ouvra. I don't know how to spell
I
that
don't
word.
know. I
I'm
should
not
never
French.
use words that I just read. Uh, um, yeah, yeah, the new costume. That's kind of cool. They found out that it was a lie. He goes to the Fantastic Four, and they look at it, and then they
Reed Richards reveals that,
Yeah.
it's a symbiote, and really it's kind of a parasite. And so he's like, I got to get rid of it, even though it was so awesome, and he didn't never ran out of web fluid, and it would change into different types of clothes. Meanwhile, the Hobgoblin is visiting the Rose, who is a rival crime lord to the Kingpin, and the Hobgoblin's task is to go and take out Spider-Man. But I don't think he actually fights Spidey in this issue. He just fights some mob guys to impress the Rose.
exactly.
Leading out into the next thing. But
I like the interplay with Fantastic Four. Man, Johnny Torture is a jerk.
yeah, he and Spider-Man have a long-standing friendly rivalry. And Spider-Man has to leave the alien costume once he realizes it's a living thing. He leaves it at the Baxter Building for Reed Richards to analyze. And he realizes, how am I going to get home? So Johnny gives him an old Fantastic Four uniform and a paper bag and sends him on his way.
With a kick me sign on the back.
Yeah.
That's good.
I love it. And Spider-Man, on the way home, he's just trying to get home quickly, and he ends up having to thwart a robbery.
He gets in the news.
And they'd say him the unknown superhero. It's kind of a smile and a wink to the Unknown comic from the 70s.
Yeah.
You remember that guy?
I was mildly amused by him.
Was he from the Gong Show? What was
Yes.
it? Yeah. Man. I can't believe I even know what that is. I'm 31, and the Gong Show's before my time.
No, it was a movie, and the guy they made a movie about the guy. Yeah, it was a movie, The Gong Show, and then it was a movie about the
Unknown comic?
Chuck Harris. No, Chuck, whatever the guy in charge of The Gong Show. They made a movie about him because supposedly he was CIA.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow,
And then,
I don't know anything about this.
Yeah, and it's
The only-
nonsense, of course.
Yeah. The only host named Chuck I remember was the guy who hosted Love Connection, or what was that?
It's Chuck Woolery.
Yeah, Chuck Woolery. The crazy things we get into on this show.
Indeed. Okay.
But this issue was written by Tom DeFalco with art by Ron Frenz, who I've always enjoyed. So we're done with Spidey for a while.
I was going to wiki all this, and I said, no, I'm not going to wiki any of this. I'm going to come in here cold. I'm an average comic book reader from way back, I guess. So I'm going to just experience this with ignorance and with a little bit of knowledge here, there, and yon. And
It works.
yeah, I think so. Reading it, I think, would kind of mess it up. But,
All the other stuff.
so I'll let you be my wiki.
That's all right. I think that's part of the fun of this show.
Yeah, I've read this before. It's a Coming of the Swordsman.
Yes, Avengers number 19. Stan Lee is still writing the book. Art by Don Heck, who's very underrated. A lot of fans at the time really didn't like him, but I think it was just because he was following Kirby, which is unfair.
Mm-hmm.
But the Swordsman, supervillain and former mentor to Hawkeye, shows up to attack the Avengers because he wants to prove himself worthy of becoming one, but it's so he can destroy them from within. And at this time, the Avengers are down to a quartet. It's Captain America, Hawkeye, Quicksilver, and the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, and Quicksilver is a jerk.
Yes, he is. Oh, he is a big jerk.
He's always saying the wrong things, and man,
I think a super speedster should be the type who says the wrong thing and thinks, acts before he thinks. I think that's very fitting.
oh yeah,
And it's a nice contrast from the Flash, who was always a nice, good guy.
right. And there's Quicksilver, Marvel, Flash DC.
Yeah.
And the Swordsman will probably never be in a movie unless it's a comic foil. Those Swordsman, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I've actually always really liked the Swordsman.
hmm,
He actually later actually did redeem himself. He stopped being a supervillain and became
Yeah.
an Avenger.
yeah, I read that.
And he died a noble death.
Mm-hmm.
Saving his teammates
Mm-hmm.
years later.
Right.
But in this, he fights Captain America and it's rad.
Yeah, he's trying to job interview. It's probably one of the worst I've seen. Although I think I've seen worse.
Showing up to, picking a fight is not a good way to try and get a job.
Yeah.
Even though he's a bad guy and it's really to get the Avengers,
Right.
But it's funny, when they killed him off, and they did it well, but I think it was funny. I think the decision was to do it because they were trying to bring in the Black Knight, and they didn't want to have two sword-wielding guys.
Yeah.
And I've never liked the Black Knight very much. He's just okay. The Swordsman was more interesting, but I think it was they made the choice like, this guy's middle aged. Let's have this younger guy.
Yeah. So Hawkeye is in this, and I'm just thinking, what is up with bows and arrows? Why
They're cool.
Are they? Actually, is archery cool? And what are the answer? Here's my notes.
They're cool. They're just as cool as bow ties.
Yeah, it's odd. But it's the archery. It just really doesn't. It's not really archery. It's just a guy with a bow and arrow with super arrows, and
with trick
you
arrows.
don't really know. There's no true archery in that. I mean, they don't even tell you what kind of bow it is, and there's it's everything in the world is simple on the outside. When you get into it, it gets super complicated.
Sure.
Archery is that way. Quilts is that way.
Isn't the library closed?
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do y'all want anything?
Huh?
Do you want anything?
No.
I'm just going to call this episode Podcastus Interruptus.
Oh, hold on.
I think this is going to end up going down as maybe our best, worst episode ever.
I think so.
But that's all right. So, moving on. To our very last issue of the episode, The Avengers, number 75, The Warlord and the Witch. Art by John Buscema, written by Rascally Roy Thomas. Now, this is cool. Do you want to... I'll let you.
The Quicksilver sets off the alarms. He's been gone for a while, apparently.
Oh, at the Avengers Mansion.
The Avengers Mansion, excuse me. And the butler finds out. And
Jarvis.
Yeah, Jarvis finds out about it, and I like butlers, but they're about the only job you can have in the comic book world. No one works at a factory in the comic book world. I mean, recurring character, no one. Well, except for mom and pa can't or farmers. They're just
Well, sure. Well, if you're here's the thing: being a superhero, it's hard to have a day job and keep it.
Yeah.
Like, oh crap, I have to leave in the middle of my shift to go
Right.
fight Electro. Damn it,
But he's not even a superhero, but he's a side character, which is cool.
Oh, right.
He's a great character. I like him, but
My fantasy battle is Jarvis versus Alfred.
yeah. Probably Alfred would win because wasn't Alfred in the military?
Alfred was like a secret agent.
Yeah.
British
I don't
intelligence
know.
or something
Jarvis
like that.
may have been too. Who knows?
I think Alfred was a military man or something. But anyway,
Mhm. But
Quicksilver enlists the help of the Avengers, and then he kind of tells us what has happened. The Scarlet Witch, they were in Europe trying to find the secret to restore her lost Hex power. And she's somehow transported to this other dimension by this warlord. What's his name?
Archon the Magnificent.
Yeah, and this guy is a total D-bag.
Yeah. He's magnificent, but he cannot afford pants.
Like Namor.
Yeah. He's got fur speedos.
Like
or
He-Man.
something. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. But of course, Quicksilver ends up fighting the Avengers while he's before he gets to stop and explain himself, and while rallying them to his cause,
Yeah.
He does battle with Hawkeye, now Goliath, and the Black Panther and Cap and the Vision.
Yeah, Goliath has anger issues or something.
Well, he's Hawkeye.
Is he?
Yeah.
So why is he Goliath?
Okay, here's the deal.
Oh no.
Giant Man formerly Ant-Man, and later, even later still Yellow Jacket, and then back to Giant Man.
Yeah.
Anyway, he has given up his superhero identity, and kind of he and Jan are off just doing happily married bliss stuff.
Mhm.
And or I'm not sure if they're married yet. I think they got no, they did get married. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. He's given up the size changing thing, and Hawkeye's tired of not having superpowers, so he gives the ability to change to Hawkeye, and now Hawkeye's Goliath. He takes a pill that he swallows, the pill that allows him to utilize the PIM particles, and change size.
Okay, very good. This is the first I've seen the Vision and I love the Vision. He's
I love him too.
Alien robot, right?
Not alien. He was Okay, back to Hank Pym. Hank Pym created the Avengers' penultimate villain, Ultron, the evil robot.
Mm-hmm.
And Ultron built the Vision to destroy the Avengers, to infiltrate the Avengers and destroy them from within. And then the Vision turned against Ultron and joined the Avengers for real.
That's cool. He's a Spock character.
He totally is a Spock character, and I love the Vision. He's one of my favorite
characters.
Yeah.
The original Spock character was Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah. Interesting.
Unfeeling, very cerebral.
Yeah.
Action packed.
Yeah.
So.
And the Justice League counterpart to the Vision, the Red Tornado, isn't half as cool.
Yeah.
Who I like the Red Tornado.
Oh, what about John Johns?
John Jones?
John
Martian
Jones.
Manhunter?
Yeah. That's what I thought was...
I think the Red Tornado kind of took the place of John Jones because John Jones left Earth and the League to find his Martian brothers.
Okay.
Because I think he was the first person to leave the Justice League, probably because he was as powerful as he was. He's also the most boring.
Yeah, I was never a fan. So I mean, it was okay, but
it's hard to do cool things with John Jones, So,
mm-hmm.
But anyway, to the Avengers. Quicksilver is rallying the Avengers to try and, go rescue the Scarlet Witch, who has been captured by Archon, who wants to make her his bride, and he also wants to. He steals our top nuclear scientists. He invades our realm, because his world has no sun, and by setting off. Somehow, nuclear explosions set off in our dimension will create, because there's some bridge between worlds, will create enough sunlight for a year in his world. So he's going to save his world by destroying ours. He wants to start World War whatever. Mm-hmm. So it's weird.
Yeah.
The Avengers are on their way to go and battle this guy.
I look forward to it because, I don't know, it looks cool.
It is cool. Actually, as ridiculous as it sounds, I love this story, and it's a 2-part story, and we will read part 2. I have it. We'll have that issue in a couple weeks.
I would like to see an Archon Magnificent comic book series done at this time.
He's Super Conan. That's who he is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Likes to fight. That's all he likes to do.
Yeah. So.
Although there's a picture of him drinking and hanging out with the ladies.
But I mean, he's an evil guy, though.
Yeah. And evil guys are inherently interesting.
They are. He's a handsome dark side,
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. In the 90s, in the X-Men animated series, adapted this story and, transposed the Avengers for the X-Men. Mm-hmm. And Archon came and took Storm as his bride-to-be. And she fell totally in love with him until she realized what a horrible monster he was. And so the X-Men, kicked his butt and rescued her.
Yeah, well, I thought Toad, wasn't he a mutant and he's killed in this, but
not really. That thunderbolt that Archon used to kill the Toad, who was helping Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch earlier, just transported him to Archon's world. I think he was going to torment him for his amusement or something.
Oh, okay.
Remember, the Quicksilver, Toad, and Scarlet Witch were part of Magneto's Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and although Quicksilver and his sister were villains against their will.
Toad seemed to be helpful, if a little bit pathetic and irritating.
He is pathetic, and he's, was totally loyal to Magneto, and Magneto abused him all the time, and he's hopelessly in love with the Scarlet Witch, and, Toad has got some interesting facets to him. People, we've known the Toad in our lives,
Yeah.
You've known that really pathetic person that you you can't even, you feel nothing but pity for them.
Mm-hmm.
Pity or derision.
Right.
There's just no in between.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. So I know the story seems like a mess in at least the way I've explained it, but
Oh, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a great villain. Um,
somebody worthy of the Avengers,
yeah.
that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Oh, who's the guy dressed in black?
That's the Black Panther.
Okay, I didn't see him until right now.
Well, he was
I thought it was.
camouflaged in the shadows.
I thought somebody was in shadow. And I said, oh, it was a whole different character there.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
I read it quickly. It's sort of, yeah, it's cool. I'm looking forward to reading the second part of this, if there is one. Do you have it?
I do have it. Although next episode we will be talking about this year's free comic book day comics.
Okay.
So we will have to wait another week to read part 2 of
That's
this
fine.
story. But we will, and it's wonderful. So that is all for today. Goodbye.